For the introduction, we will give the definition of data gathering. And what is data gathering? Data gathering will build on existing knowledge using different data collection methods. Data gathering also helps to distinguish between the presenting problem versus the underlying problem. And there are 5 data gathering methods used by organization development. Here is 5 data gathering methods. First is interviews. Second is focus groups. Third is surveys. Fourth is observation. And fifth is unobtrusive measures.
Interviews. What is interview? An interview is a conversation where questions are asked and answers are given, or one-on-one conversation with one person acting in the role of the interviewer and the other in the role of the interviewee. How to conduct data gathering by using interview? Firstly, we can prepare an interview guide. Secondly, select the participant that we would like to do the interview. Thirdly, contact participants and schedule interviews. Begin the interview and establish rapport. Conduct the interview, and lastly, close the interview. So what is the tips successful interviews? Firstly, most important is listening is critical skills in interviewing. This is to avoid interrupting an interviewee and another question. Secondly, avoid indicating agreement or disagreement with the interviewee. Lastly, take notes sparingly during the interview. Write down the important information after the end of interview. Focus group. What is focus group? Focus group are groups of usually a small number of organizational members facilitated by a consultant who poses question and then allows for group discussion. So how to conduct data gathering by using interviews? It is similar steps with the interview, which is prepare interview guide, select the participant, hold the focus group, lastly conclude the meeting. Tips successfully management of focus group. Firstly, maintaining objective to the extent possible. This is to avoid indicating agreement and disagreement with the group's contribution. Secondly, organizing by having 2 facilitators, which one can participate in the conversation and another taking notes. Lastly, facilitator may plan a strategy to overcome any negative emotions.
Survey process in which organizational members complete questionnaires on various organizational issues, receive feedback on the result, and then take appropriate action to address the critical needs and concern. Determine the reason for the survey. Can be used to assess management interaction, organizational communication, work process, training needs, and the employer engagement. Determine who will take survey. Organization-wide survey topics typically imply that all members will be given the opportunity to participate in the survey. Design the survey. A practitioner may choose to use an existing survey instrument rather than design one. Administer the survey. Survey instructions should be clear about how long the survey is likely to take and how participants should return it. Tips for Success Administration Survey. Avoid questions that indicate bias toward or against a particular group of people. Avoid questions that could be answered accurately in multiple ways. Keep in mind the need to translate or localize questions. Clarify important terms. Survey items should be tested with a small sample of organizational members. Challenges of using surveys. Unnecessary question. Assesses open-ended question. Lengthy surveys. Don't stop at first rejection. Using irrelevant question. Observation. Allow the consultant to collect data on actual behavior than reports of people behavior. Tips for success observation. Observer shall show an interest in learning what usually happens, demonstrating interest in the activity observed. Consider observing with explicit permission rather than hiding the purpose of the observation. Observation can be unstructured and formally structured. Challenge of using observation. Interpretation. The perception of any observer is not passive. Control to detect and reduce error in observation. Detachment requires disengagement with the subject of research. Ethic. The problem is that we don't always do what we would ideally like to do. Imposition, getting the answers, get or the conclusion.
Unobtrusive measures definition involve the use of non-reactive sources independent of the presence of the researcher and include documentary evidence. Helpful in diagnosing the organization, group and individual outputs. Obtrusive data collection methods that directly obtain information from those being evaluated, e.g. interviews, surveys, focus group. Unobtrusive data collection methods that do not collect information directly from evaluated, such as company record and archive. Challenges of reactive measures. Interviewer bias, invalid research tool, unreliable research tool, reactivity between interviewer and interviewee, respondent get tired filing in survey. Advantage. There are no preconceived ideas in the subject head to influence their behaviors. Disadvantage. Need to interpret the participant action so it affects the quality of your observation.
As the conclusion, we know that there are no single method that can fully measure the kinds of variable importance to organizational development because each has certain strengths and weaknesses. Because of the biases inherent in any data collection methods, more than one method should be used when collecting diagnostic data.